Senior representatives of labor unions in Cameroon are deepening their understanding and awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area. In this Yaoundé meeting from the 9th to the 10th of April, jointly organized by the Confederation of Autonomous Unions in Cameroon and the CSI Africa. The opening session lays the groundwork with the introduction of participants and presentation of the objectives of the workshop. The whole idea is about the involvement of labor unions of the CEMAC sub-region into the mechanism process of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Given the fact that workers are the heart of production of goods and services, it is critical that workers also be a critical stakeholder in advancing the African Continental Free Trade Area. So for us to be able to advance it, our people need to be aware what the African Continental Free Trade Area is about. More importantly, how they can contribute to the effective implementation of the AFTA on the continent. These are the reasons why we have convened this meeting.
So look at your colleague and draw him.
Regarde ton camarade et puis tu le représentes par un dessin.
Speakers at the Yaoundé workshop delivered on 4 major topics: the stakes and opportunities of free trade for Africans in general and Cameroonian workers in particular, awareness, knowledge and understanding of the African Continental Free Trade Area among African workers, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area in Cameroon and the involvement of non-state actors, the engagement of Unionists in the putting in place of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The speakers showed mastery in their presentations, catching the rapt attention of participants.
Il était question d'abord de rappeler le contexte, la création de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. C'est de là que commence la sensibilisation. Je suis humblement, je suis parfait pour. Je suis en charge des relations commerciales internationales et régionales au ministère du Commerce.
This presentation was much like the position of the government of Cameroon on the African Continental Free Trade Area.
L'objectif de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, c'est de créer un marché unique continental en éliminant les barrières tarifaires et non tarifaires, en facilitant le commerce des marchandises et en assurant la libre circulation des personnes, des capitaux.
The presentation got some labor unionists reacting.
We noticed that in the ZLECAf we have some weakness. Inside of this weakness, we unions, we are going to build a strategy to make all unions to be part of every committee of ZLECAf here in Cameroon, because ZLECAf is a huge a mechanism who have inside many countries. My name is Céline Nathalie Amana. I'm coming from East Region.
Tant qu'il y a beaucoup de frontières, c'est-à-dire beaucoup de pays, ça empêche que la zone de libre-échange ne se mette en place. Et par rapport à cela, mon avis est que il faut qu'on aille vers un État continental.
Mais très influencé par divers facteurs, notamment les accords.
A union leader in Cameroon takes to the rostrum, highlighting in his presentation some of the shocking realities holding back the CEMAC sub-region and Cameroon in particular from enjoying the numerous benefits offered by the African Continental Free Trade Area. Lack of dynamic leadership, corruption and nepotism.
Trade unions has to impose themselves as institutional actors, because according to the International Labour Organization, trade unions are actors in the governance of the countries. So if the government cannot accept to call them when they are taking all the decision, trade unions themselves has to mobilize and impose themselves as actors recognized by international institutions. But if we are waiting for this government to call us, that will never happen. And that's why we have been fighting all the times, because I have been civil servant for 30 years. I spent my time to fight against the government, for them to recognize that we, the trade unions, they are actors, and they have accepted. And I am discussing with them when I have the occasion, not because they have called me, because I have imposed myself. My name is Bikoko Jean-Marc. I am the president of the CSP, the Public Service Trade Unions.
Presentations changed gear, going scientific with a presentation of a research on awareness, knowledge and challenges of the African Continental Free Trade Area among African workers.
We conducted research on the awareness, knowledge and challenges of AFTA among African workers. And there are some key findings that we are sharing with the unions here in Cameroon. Number one, that the awareness of AFTA in Central Africa is low relative to the other awareness figures that we are getting from the other regions of Africa.
Findings of the research point out that the Central Africa region registers a high percentage with no awareness of the African Continental Free Trade Area, that Central African workers lack information on assessing and gaining benefits from the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The knowledge that workers and retired workers possess in relations to AFTA is again relatively low in Central Africa if you compare that same statistic to other regions of Africa. The research found that in terms of awareness, there is some 77% of people sampled that have knowledge about, that are aware about AFTA. But in terms of knowledge, which is a critical indicator, only 12% really have knowledge about AFTA. And so you ask yourself, how do we promote trade liberalization? How do we promote the free movement of goods and services on the continent when only 12% are actually the ones who have the knowledge about AFTA? So there is so much work to do.
However, the survey results highlight the need for specific recommendations.
We need to raise the awareness of AFTA among African workers in Central Africa, and we also need to raise significantly the level of knowledge of AFTA in the region. Is that ITUC Africa and its affiliates in Cameroon and in other African countries must work together to build the level of awareness of African workers. And two, we must put together programs such as seminars, conferences, workshops to train African workers, to have that knowledge to be able to participate meaningfully in AFTA.
Participants appreciate the organization of the Yaoundé 2-day workshop, demanding for more.
Les impressions sont bonnes. Bonnes parce que aujourd'hui, il y a une opportunité pour l'Afrique de se développer. Et ceci ne peut se faire que par l'intégration, n'est-ce pas, de la sous-région pour entrer dans le concert des pays en voie de développement ou alors des pays qui doivent se développer. Nous avons été édifiés sur déjà les chances de l'Afrique de participer, comment est-ce qu'il faut dire ça, d'avoir, n'est-ce pas, une certaine autonomie. Ça va se passer par l'interactivité, par l'interaction, l'interactivité entre tous les pays de l'Afrique. Oui, je suis le camarade Luc Wanji. Je suis le président régional de la Confédération des syndicats autonomes du Cameroun, pour l'ouest du Cameroun.
Je retiens que la marche pour l'indépendance totale de l'Afrique est irréversible et nous devons continuer le combat.
Organizers of the workshop are visibly impressed with the turnout, the participation, and more. It is recommended that more public awareness and knowledge to deepen workers' understanding of the African Continental Free Trade Area should be spearheaded by the TUC Africa by leveraging social and traditional media amidst other tools. That TUC should foster collaboration with local trade unions, Chamber of Commerce, Ministries of Trade, private sector associations, trade advocacy institutions, and other stakeholders to spearhead the promotion of the African Continental Free Trade Area's goal among African workers, including women and youth. The Yaoundé workshop is powered by TUC, the Trade Union Congress of the UK, TUC Africa, the African Regional Organization of the International Trade Union Confederation. Senior representatives of labor unions in Cameroon are deepening their understanding and awareness of the African Continental Free